Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Workplace Wellness Buffet. We're going to continue now with Ali and Marco, who are going to talk about emotional mapping for workplace wellness again. And you're going to be looking at the maps tonight, aren't you?
Oh, yes, this morning we talked through all the rules and the methodology for creating your emotional maps, specifically for workplace wellness. What we're doing now is we're going to have a look at the maps that we've done in order that people can understand why we do them and how they benefit people. So Marco, yours is up first. So you get to tell us all about your map.
All right. Thank you, Ali. Sorry for the quality of the drawing, but as Ali said this morning, this methodology of emotional mapping does not depend on the quality of the drawing, but on the content. I mean, this is actually what we are carrying on, because both Ali and I, we are not exactly Picasso and Frida Kahlo. So anyway, yeah, this is one of the many applications of the emotional mapping, and it's exactly focused on the theme of the workshop wellness week event. So this morning our target was to draw sort of map representing the emotions we felt during our different working experiences or working places or working environments. But yeah, so that's what that is what came out from my pencil. And as we asked for, there is a river that gives a little bit the timeline of the story, and the very beginning of my professional life. Again, this is not exactly the mapping our professional life. It's more on the how we felt in the different moments or places where we've been working during our life. So the very first memory that came to my mind was actually my first salary. I was like 13, 14 years old, and in Italy, you know, we have a lot of grapes. So I asked my parents to find me some work in order to help in the harvest of grapes. And I went for 1 week, and I was completely destroyed at the end of the week. Why? Because I was a little kid, and the elder people working there, they were used to give me very heavy, at least from my point of view of adolescent, quantities of grapes to carry from point A to point B. So I was very impressed by how heavy are grapes. But I still remember my first salary. It was 47,000 lire. We had the old lire, very weak. And so I was so happy to get this money, and I told my parents that I didn't want to go on with my studies because of this 47, but then I went on. So the first impression, the first memory actually was something, a sort of a dichotomy between the joy of earning my first money and the fatigue, the pain for working so hard 10 hours per day. Then the second memory came out. I was already something around 25, 26 years old, and I just graduated in political sciences. I needed to learn French because one of my dreams were to go in the diplomatic career. So I needed to speak French. I didn't speak French at that time, so I went to Paris for learning French, and I called this moment of my life the Tower of Fun, because nearby the Tour Eiffel, I really spent 3 crazy months of my life just doing all kind of stuffs from selling souvenir, from doing the barman in the Pompidou Center, and with a lot of adventures. I was managing the cash up there in the cafeteria in the 5th floor of the Centre Pompidou, and there were long lines of people because I was very slow in counting in French. Then French, our French friends, they really have a strange way of counting numbers. They say 4 times 20, 17 to say 97 and things like that. So was a moment of fun, but also not easy because I was in a new country, learning a language and so on. The day after, the 1 year later, I could speak quite good French, and I went back to Paris, and I had a different kind of work, and it was doing a market research for the sector of packaging machines for the Italian Trade Commission. And that was really, I think, from my professional, if we can call it like that, point of view, one of the craziest experience I had in my life. I called this place the mountains of astuteness and madness, because I was there with a friend working in the Italian Trade Commission, and we were calling the French producers of packaging machines, but in order to have information, we were doing a marketing research. But they were very close to us because once they hear us saying we are from the Italian Trade Commission, we are their competitors. Italy is very strong in packaging machines. So they say, we have no time, we sorry. And so after 2 days of having all these kind of negative answers, we decided we needed to create something. So we just watched each other and said, okay, let's create a company, a Spanish company, importers of packaging machines. We started to call the same companies in France by saying that we were Spanish importers. So with a Spanish accent, speaking, I don't know how, speaking French with a pretended Spanish accent. And the same people who told us the day before they were busy, they gave us all the rendezvous, all the meetings, and we've been visiting my name. We created the credit cards. I was Pablo Iribar and he was Felipe de los Cerros. I mean, something that I would never do right now, but at those times we did, and that was unbelievable. We had a lot of fun. We risked to go to jail because if you do something, if they discover that we are not Spanish importers, but Italian, and so on. But it was great fun. When you are young, you do these kind of things. After this, and also thanks to this beautiful marketing research, I entered the Confectionery Association, an industrial association where I've been working for 10 years. And there was for me a very nice environment. I called this experience of my life the tree of sweetness and trust. Sweetness because of the products we were dealing with. We were representing companies of confectionery, chocolates, ice creams, biscuits. So sweet, absolutely. But also the atmosphere was very sweet, and trust because the director of this association who hired me, from the very first day, he showed trust in for me. I mean, he was trusting me to the point that after 1 day of work, he sent me to France to give a speech about the confectionery markets. I didn't know anything, but I just went there to Lyon and gave this speech. So for me, the feeling of trust around me was very central during this experience. And I also met my wife during this experience. That's why I called this the Valley of Marriage as well. Then after this experience, I crossed a bridge of this secondary river, let's say, and I entered another experience in the Distillery Association. So I was a sort of crossing a bridge because I was very well in the confectionery sector, but some headhunters called me to manage this association. So I made a decision, not an easy one, but I said, okay, I'm young, I'm gonna risk my career, and I went there, and I was happy about that. There, it was a sort of racetrack of success because things were moving very, very quickly. I was dealing with all kind of alcohol, also with bioethanol and green energy. So things were moving very fast in Italy in that moment, and so that was quite good. But at the same time, I called a part of this working place that like the distillery of disloyalty, because I faced some attitudes from people working with me, people that I hired. That's to my from my point of view, of course, they didn't behave in a proper way towards me. So that's why a sort of mug, a sort of yeah, place not exactly positive, and to the point. But there too, I found another time. I realized doing this map about a working place that in many working places I found also love. They say it's quite easy statistically because we spend a lot of our time on working in the working place. Now with the COVID, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, I guess. But anyway, we will see. So I also found another tree of passion and courage, I would say there too, because apart from passion and also courage, because I was the director, this person was working with me, and she's actually my girlfriend, and I needed to have some courage, but I never wanted to hide my feelings, never. My feelings cannot be, how to say, hidden because I work in that place, or feelings are feelings. So that's the tree of passion and courage. But then I went out like from this place like an eruption, and that was a volcano of anger, because I was how to say fired unexpectedly from that place. So at the beginning I was extremely I felt a lot of anger for that, but out of this eruption I found myself in the rainbow of a new dimension, and I crossed the bridge of awareness, because I realized that what happened there was a sort of big door in front of me towards new horizons and towards this colorful new dimension. And so it's this is the period I've been living in the last 12 years, and I'm still living right now. That is a place working from home. I mean, working from home in theory, because the company, the headquarters are where I live, also in Anzio. But of course, this kind of work allows me to travel all over the world intensively. But at the same time, I enjoy the place physically where I am, especially in these last 2 years. I practically didn't move from this place, but I love this place. It's nearby the sea. It's there is a beautiful bougainville blossoming, and there is a sort. There is not, but there is in my mind that a tree, a big tree, a baobab, with new perspective. Why a baobab? Because a baobab is a very strange tree, as you might know. It's a reverse tree, because the roots are in the air, and it's the other way around. That's why I identify the baobab with new perspectives. That is exactly what this company is giving to me. And I always feel the warmth of the fire of empathy. Around me, I feel a lot of empathy. And I am there in a huge beach or field of connections, because one of the most important thing that I'm developing, actually I had this attitude also in the previous work, but I was more focused on me, if I can say so, in previous works. Right now I really feel a sort of need of going on developing connections with other friends. And the example of today, the example of Emme, is really, they are really there to witness this attitude that is really becoming vital for me. establishing connection. I'm so happy when people get connected between them, and this is something I really love. And it's connected somehow to the awareness. This is the feeling I have in this current part of my working place and working career. So and all this will carry me, already carried somehow in this big sea of integrated knowledge. This is always something that intrigued me somehow. I would never have done a vertical career doing always the same thing. And I can say now that after, I don't know, 30, 35 years of working life, that I've done quite different things in my life, from selling souvenir, babysitting in Paris to the confectionery, to the distilleries, to this new, very wide experience of ME with a lot of educational path and so on. So basically, this is the picture of the emotions I had during my working experience.
Thank you for that. When you look back at this map, and you've done many maps,
Yes,
including a map of your career, but this is the workplace.
absolutely.
What would you say? Did you discover what your greatest challenges have been?
Yes, yeah, I did a lot of maps, as you know, and you did basically the same maps from your point of view. But again, each time, depending on the subject, always also if the subject is the same, but you draw the map after a while, you learn new things from mapping. That's true. What I've learned here is, yeah, the challenge you asked me is about don't take things too personally. That's something, especially I mean, two things maybe. One, never give up, and respect all kind of works. I always hated people that maybe just because they are graduated or because they are manager of a company, they consider other kind of works less than full of dignity. This is something I always hated. This is not something I've learned. So that's something I always had. But going on, I always had something to tell to people who behaved in the other way, just considering people working with them only because they were the boss and others were less than the boss, just like objects or things. This is something I always hated. So I learned during the years to express always my my emotions to others, even if I was at risk. But I needed to say what I wanted to say and to act according to myself. This is something also I have learned in the distillery association. I was working there were different kind of companies, from the big ones, big companies, to the small ones. For me, being the managing director there were no differences. If a little company had a problem and they invested, they asked me for solving or trying to solve it. For me, it was the same that the big company asked me there, the same thing. And but this is not always something that is seen as something good, because someone thinks that the bigger company pays more, you need to deserve more time to that company. I don't know. I have learned always to go with more and more decision towards what, from my point of view, is justice, something connected to justice. So this is something I've learned. And then again, don't take things personally. When I was fired at the beginning, I was, as I said, as I have drawn, a volcano of anger. But then I understood that maybe they had good reasons to do that, or maybe they did that only because there was an economical crisis that was the official excuse for firing me. At the beginning, I didn't think about that. I thought there were things behind it I didn't know, but maybe it was because of that. And even if it was not because of that, I have learned that you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. I did a journey to Greece by myself after this happened. And I start thinking, Marco, that thing came at the right moment. You could get some good money out of this fact. And now you can invest on your company, become a consultant, which was my dream when I was just graduated in political sciences. But who's gonna listen to you, to your consultancy, if you are 24 and without experience? So this thing happened in the right moment. I was 44. Yeah, it was not easy because I had 2 families, and you know, money. I needed to get money because, but I solved all these things, and I enter in a period that is really extremely beautiful for my life. I love what I do. I choose the people I work with. It's something very important to be able to do that.
Thank you, Marco. Okay, that was map explanation Italian style, which means I always say they use 300 words when 2 will do, but it's been lovely to listen. I love the stories that you tell that are superb. So I'm going to go through my map now. It's going to be British style, which is typically dry, straightforward. And
sorry, I've been too long, by the way. Okay. No.
It's okay.
I switch off the microphone.
I love it. The thing is, if anybody's watching this on record, they can always fast forward to me. That's okay. Oh, right. This is my map of workplace wellness, and when I look back, I've had so many different struggles at work. And somebody asked the question this morning, what if you can't remember? And the thing is, when you look back, especially if you kind of close your eyes and really focus in, and you're looking for emotions rather than actual events, it's amazing what you do remember. And so here is my map of the workplace for the pivotal events that happened, both positive and negative, along the way to where I am now. And I'm a few days off being 57, and I started work when I was 16. So we're talking 40 years ago, which is very upsetting for me to even consider, but 40 years ago, when I started my first job in London. And I explain that in this map as the mountains of fear, because again, as I said this morning, the emotion of that first job of starting out was all about being absolutely terrified and feeling like I had mountains in front of me that I had to climb in terms of knowledge and understanding and confidence and everything else that goes with it. And I remember not long after starting, I ended up in the Lake of Shame, which is the next thing along my river, which was a situation where I was a claims clerk in an insurance company. And there were various branches, and one of the managers of the branches rang me up and started being very angry with me about something that had gone wrong. So me being 16 and not knowing any better, got angry back at him. And we had a proper old ding-dong on the phone. And I remember being drawn into my bosses afterwards and being told that the managers are always right. You don't argue with them. You say yes, you say no. You can think whatever you like, but you have to treat them with respect because they're your elders and they're your seniors. It was like that back then. They're your elders and your seniors. And it really, the whole working life, it left me kind of with a respect for seniority, but also a fear of it because of the situation that I'd ended up in because of it. It took me kind of a long time to get that out of my mind. So that's a really pivotal moment for me that I learned from in several ways. And then after I'd been at that company for a couple of years, I was getting married and my husband lived 100 or so miles away. So I moved up to be with him. And I call that the city of new beginnings, because it was like a totally new life for me. I didn't know anybody. I did some bar work to keep going, and then I got a job in a local authority, which was all fine. And the next few years really was the plains of development and learning for me. So I just grew through role after role. I've done many, many different things, from working for a local authority to being a Weight Watchers coach, to running my own video franchise, to all kinds of different things, working for a letting agency and then working in mortgages and all sorts of stuff. So lots and lots of years of development and learning. And then when I was in my early 30s, as I say, I became a Weight Watchers coach, which was great. I loved it. I loved working with people. I loved helping them to overcome their challenges. And it really set the seed in me of wanting to do something with my life that was coaching oriented. But I worked, although I was self-employed back then, as part of Weight Watchers, you worked with a team. And that team were very judgmental. And it was all about who sold the most, who'd done the most, who was the best. And I've never really succeeded well in that kind of environment where there's that kind of competition. I always just do my best. And if that's not enough, then I always used to struggle with being judged as not being enough. So that was a pretty harsh time for me that ended up in me leaving and moving on again. So then I'm in the lagoon of progress. So now I'm deciding, right, back to a proper job, 9 to 5, paid, holidays and all that kind of stuff. Lovely. So I went to work for a letting agency, and then I went to work for a care company as the regional administrator management. And there I had a colleague who was my mentor, who became a friend outside of work. And we get to the eclipse of betrayal, which again, I think I mentioned this morning, where there was an incident where I was told something in confidence by the new boss. She was my mentor. I was upset about it. I went to talk to her about it. She told my boss that I told her about it. It was supposed to have been in confidence, and everything blew up. So I learned quite a lot from that, which is, number one, it's very difficult to trust people you work with. No offense, Marco, but sometimes it can be difficult. Certainly for me, it's difficult for me to trust people I work with. I learned that if somebody tells you something in confidence, you keep it in confidence, because again, you can't necessarily, even though you might need to talk to somebody about it, talk to them, because if you talk to someone else, it can all turn around and stab you in the back. So we came to a point not long after that where economic crisis, 2008, I was offered redundancy, and I took it because I was ready to go, because I can't stay in a toxic environment for too long, because it really does affect my mental health. I get anxious. I still take anxiety medication now from years and years ago, different things that have happened to me in work. It is all in work. So new beginnings again. I went off and found a new job as an assistant project manager. Worked my way through that, through the Garden of Achievement. I did really well. I was promoted 5 times in 6 or 7 years, and worked my way right up to proposals manager, good salary, everything lovely. Worked in a great team, got to travel about, went to the Middle East, went all over the country, to Ireland, all sorts of places working. Absolutely loved it. And then the winds of change blew in, and another company bought our company. And the company that I'd worked for, although quite large, had a real family feel. And you know, when you find an environment that you're happy in and is right, and then something comes along and changes it. So it went from family to big business, big corporate. You were just a number on the register. Nobody, it was all lip service to employee well-being, and we care about your mental health. No, we don't. What we care about is making sure that you come into work every day, you don't go off sick, all this kind of stuff, and our statistics read well. And that was the kind of environment I was in. I had a boss who was younger than my youngest child, who was far less qualified than me, far less experienced than me, but she looked the part and she'd smiled at the right people and she somehow got into that position. I don't know why, I'm not going to make any assumptions on that. And she was one of those people that I've come across in work many times who take credit for everything everyone else does to make themselves look better and blame everyone else when things they do go wrong. So that brought me into the swamp of mistrust and anxiety because she knew that I was better qualified than her and more experienced. She also knew that I got her number, and she wanted to make sure she got rid of me. And then I reached the dam of freedom, which for me was again the opportunity to take redundancy and get away. And at 56, I decided, you know what? I'm going to do what I've always wanted to do. In the same way as Marco had some money behind him when he was made redundant, I was able to fund myself for a year to build the business that I run now very successfully. And I'm now in the ocean of independence doing what I love to do. Now that map, that tells a story of the pivotal moments in my working life. So why draw it? Why do it? Well, first of all, I've learned a lot about who I am. I've learned a lot about the kind of working environment that I need for me, for my mental well-being. I've learned a lot about the fact that I have trust issues with people that I work with. I've learned a lot about different kind of dynamics and politics that go on in the workplace, and that they're not about me, they're about the politics of the workplace. And again, like Marco, I used to take everything really personally, any kind of criticism, and I was that kind of person who I'd feel the red mist come up, I'd feel the tears start, I wouldn't be able to speak, and I would walk away because my default position was to flee. And then I would be awake all night thinking it over and over and over and over and over, what I should have said, what I should have done, is it about me, all this kind of stuff, always internalizing it, always getting to the point where I'd have palpitations and chest pain and all that kind of stuff, when actually it was usually nothing to do with me at all. I probably just found myself in the wrong place or the wrong position. So by doing this map and other maps that I've done, what I've really learned is how I've succeeded and how great I am. Actually, I got promoted 5 times in 6 or 7 years. I have always known about twice I've been made redundant, and every time I've picked up and I've come to something better. I have worked with people who have not been nice to me and have caused me issues. Maybe I caused the issues as well, I don't know. But I have survived all of that. And I sit here as a survivor today, now living my best life. And if there's one message that I can give to people when you do this map for yourself, and I do urge you to do this map for yourself, watch the video from this morning to see the methodology of how to do it. You've got 2 examples now of what it should look like when it's done. The point that I'm making is when you do this, you will be able to see from an outside point of view what your strengths are, how much you've survived, what you've been through, how capable you are, that you can identify what's right for you in a workplace environment. And that enables you to then plan for your future. Because if you work out what makes you happy at work and what works for you at work and the kind of environment that you thrive in, that helps you to work out where you want to be working. Where is going to be what kind of work is going to be the best kind of work for you? And I think what a lot of people do when they're in really stressful situations at work, they wish they could win the lottery and not have to work at all. You know, and it's just about escaping. I think most people, as lovely as winning a lottery is, most people like to have something that occupies their mind and their brain, where they socially interact with other people. And that's what you get from work. You get that social interaction, you get that community, you get to be working on things that you're interested in and make a difference to others, to yourself. So use this mapping to work out exactly what it is that you want to do and how strong and capable you are in doing that, and use it to make your future plan. And that is what I would say is one of the great powers of emotional mapping. Marco, have you got anything to say on that?
No, absolutely. I cannot add anything to what you just said. And yeah, you have learned something from the Italian storytelling. You've been quite long as well. Watch out. No, but yeah, I mean, I think the beauty of these maps is that you might just show them without saying anything. And that's a way of communicating a lot about you. Sometimes we do sessions just with the maps. Or if you start describing your journey, you might stay one day on a map, you know, because I think, yeah, you said it. The power of this methodology is really eliciting emotions, and for people, for friends doing this mapping, it's much easier to talk about their emotions, not in a direct way, but by describing their journey, by saying that they have been in places like the lighthouse of a new beginning. I mean, if they decide to play the game, this very serious game, then they won't stop talking about the maps. And this is, I think, something extremely beautiful, because even among people who don't know each other's, we trust them. We consider this as a serious game, and we relax and we let our emotions flow, and people listen to you, which is something very beautiful. And maybe sometimes we regret that people do not listen to us, but maybe because we speak in a certain way, that is also boring sometimes, or maybe we cannot express properly our emotion because it's very difficult. But describing these maps, I mean, mapping is of high interest for all ages, for all geographical origins. Not, I mean, not the emotional mapping, all kind of maps. It's something that you cannot be indifferent in front of that. But this tool, yeah.
Plus, it's fun. I mean, it's fun and it's therapeutic. I mean, who doesn't like grabbing crayons and drawing?
Exactly.
You know, yeah. It's brilliant. But what I would say is, I wish that a year ago, 18 months ago, when I was really in the depths of this toxic environment, I wish I'd had this map, this mapping methodology then. Because I don't think it would have changed the outcome, because it would have helped me to understand what I really wanted to do, but it really would have helped me to deal with the situation. It would have helped me to step away and out of it and view it from the inside, looking back in. And that's the key thing for me in this one.
Yeah, I agree.
So what I would say is, for those of you who have joined us live, thank you for that. And for those of you who are watching this on the recording, we do the full immersive 3-hour mapping session called Map Out Your Emotions, the River of Your Life Experience. We do this live. It's coming up again next Tuesday, the 20th of July, between 6 and 9 p.m. British summertime. Now, what we do is we play a game called Unpack Your Luggage and Pack Your Luggage. It's Pack Your Luggage, Unpack Your Luggage, which is about, we get rid of all the negative rubbish that we've been carrying around for ages. We pack new emotional tools to move forward in our life, and we go through and we map the full river of our life to discover so much more about ourselves, what we want, who we are, what we're capable of, and what we can do. It is literally only £40 for the full 3-hour experience. Everybody who has gone through that, many of them have actually become geographers of emotions and have come to work with us. But also, everybody who's gone through it has gone away with a skill for life. Once you learn how to map, you map anything and everything, and it is such a fantastic tool for doing that. So I would love for you guys to come along and join us for that if you haven't done that already. The link is there. The other thing you can do is continue your emotional journey with us. I mentioned this morning. So as I say, we've got the map out your emotions. We've also got a metaphysical journey through England, which is starting this Thursday evening at 6 o'clock, where I'm going to take you as a Knight of the Round Table on quests around the UK to various really key locations, having challenges and sharing and storytelling and collaborating and mapping. Again, we're mapping that journey. That is going to be a really fun ride. That at the moment is on offer at half price for £60 for the full 3-week experience. And then we have a real journey to Garfagnana in September, which is a 7-day retreat in Tuscany. I am hoping that I can get there with this COVID at the moment, fingers crossed. Otherwise, Marco will be leading it all by himself. But that is available, particularly if you're watching this and you are in Italy. I'm sure you will be able to do that one. So links are there, just check it all out. There are so many things in MA that we do. It's all based around emotional mapping. It's all based around the river of your life and getting in touch with your feelings, to help you build better relationships, get over issues and challenges, and live your life better. So there is so much there that we would love you to come and have a look at and share with us. Marco, have you got anything else to say on that before I finish up?
Italians are welcome in the journey to England still?
Of course, Italians. Yes, I will speak slowly. I will speak slowly.
Yesterday, sorry. I needed, you asked me not to, with football.
I said, don't mention the football again. That's enough. We're done now. End of. We all played brilliantly. Somebody had to win. And we're going to kick your ass in the World Cup. So
come on. It's a recording. You cannot say
I'm sorry, I had to say it. There you go. So finally, tomorrow, come back and join us tomorrow. This workplace wellness event is all about helping you to be mentally and physically well in the workplace. It is so, so important. As you know, we lost a friend, Mark Costigan, a coaching colleague of ours a couple of weeks ago, because he couldn't cope in the workplace and with life anymore. And we don't want that to happen again. We really are hoping and praying that if there is anybody who is going down the road he went down, that they come along and join us and find some hope and some joy and some light and some support in these events that we're running. We are doing it all for free now, which we weren't doing, but we're doing it all for free. You can donate to the Samaritans by going through the Linktree Workplace Wellness Events link, and you will find the link to register and donate there. Don't worry about the registering because everybody's just coming in, but you can donate to the Samaritans if you want to. We've already raised £55, which is 11 calls to the Samaritans. One of those 11 could save somebody's life, if not all of them. So let's at least try and get it up to 100 if we can. So if you have enjoyed today and you enjoy the events that are coming up in the next few days, please do think about donating to that. Tomorrow, the lovely Victoria is going to be taking you through Nordic inspired living. Victoria, do you want to say anything about that before we finish? Is she still